You're listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be. I'm Mel Tiller, your host. I'm thrilled to be with you today, and I have a special guest. She's one of our partners. We do a lot in the community together. Her name is Kirsten Sear. She's the president of the Public Education Foundation. Kirsten, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you. Listen, talk to us a little bit about the Public Education Foundation. Exactly who are you and what do you guys do?
Yeah. So the Public Education Foundation is a nonprofit. We've been around for more than 30 years. And our mission is to bring the community together to solve big problems in our schools. And we believe that we can tackle these major issues if we work together.
How are you funded?
Well, we are funded with a variety of sources. We do fundraise from corporations and individuals around town. We have a couple of major fundraisers throughout the year. We also have a fair number of grants, local, state grants. And then we have a little bit of funds that we generate by acting as a fiscal agent for some other organizations, but largely we are funded by individuals and corporations.
How long have you guys been in existence?
Well, we are 32 years old now.
Okay.
So we've been around for a time. Yes. One of the older nonprofits in town.
Yes. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you all have done, some of your accomplishments, some of the things that you're very proud of.
Oh gosh. Well, I am most proud when we bring the community together around an issue. And I know we're going to talk about absenteeism in a minute. That's a huge issue right now.
Yes.
But that is sort of our mode of bringing the community together, whether it's donors or other nonprofits, other organizations like 100 Black Men, to say, how can we tackle issues together? One that we tackle is access to post-secondary education. And so we know that Nevada has a lower rate of folks who attain post-secondary education. And so we have a scholarships program. Last year, we awarded a record $6.25 million in scholarships.
Oh, wow.
To more than 740 students. More than 55% of our recipients are first in their family to go to college. And, Mel, we're really data driven. And so we look at which high schools have a large number of applicants and which don't. And then we go to the schools that don't. So because there's brilliance everywhere, right? A lot of times we're talking to students, nobody's ever talked to them about going to college. Nobody's ever said there's scholarships out there. You can apply for a Pell Grant, all of that stuff. And so we're really focusing in on 6 high schools right now that have large populations of students who identify as students of color and low application rates to our scholarships. And it's been very successful. It's just great talking to kids and seeing all of the potential out there. And you think about potential that goes untapped, right? If we don't help them find their path. So that's our scholarships program. We also have a teacher superstore where we distribute more than $1 million every year to teachers in free and low cost supplies. Because did you know the average teacher spends more than $750 of their own money on supplies every year?
I didn't know what that exact number was, but I do know that our teachers, God bless them. I often say that if you are a teacher, you have a very, very special vocation, because when you go to heaven, you won't have to stop at the pearly gates. They're going to look at you and say, "Oh, you were a teacher? Come right on in."
I agree.
Come right on in. You are doing wonderful and blessed things today. And I tell you, I just think that our teachers do such a great job, and they never, ever get enough credit.
I totally agree. And I say to teachers that average 750 number, and they're like, that's low. So there's a lot that's been way more than that. So we have a teacher superstore for them where they can go and pick up supplies for their students. And, we poll our teachers every year, and we're just in the process of it this year. But last year, our teachers told us that more than 60% of their students show up without any of the school supplies that are on those lists that we get. So who makes that up usually? It's usually the teachers, because they want to make sure their kids have the tools that they need to succeed.
Well, so listen, you all do such great work in our community. we're talking about the numbers, we're talking about the dollars that you spend, how you're helping the teachers, how you're helping the students. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you all do. Now, we are focused on a tremendous challenge that CCSD is facing right now. How about talking to us a little bit about absenteeism?
Yeah. So in Nevada, you're considered chronically absent if you miss 10% or more of your classes. So before the pandemic, before school buildings closed down, CCSD's absenteeism rate was kind of in the 20% range.
Yes.
And that spiked up to over 40% after the pandemic. And so there's a lot of studies about this. Is a national trend. It's not just a CCSD trend. There's a lot of studies about this nationally. There's a lot of reasons why kids are missing school. Some kids, frankly, just got disengaged from school. We know that our families are hurting post-pandemic. There's transportation issues. There's childcare issues. Lots of families end up having their older students watch their younger students for childcare. I mean, there's some anxiety around school now that kids just frankly are anxious about going to school. So there's a huge range of reasons why students are missing school. But the conversation that we've had is that a lot of times the communication to families is, get your kid to class, you're in violation of Nevada revised statutes, which isn't necessarily the most helpful message for families that are struggling, right? And so what we're trying to do is completely change the narrative around absenteeism. Let's talk to families about, first of all, the community is coming together. More than 15 organizations, including 100 Blackmen, have signed on to this initiative. And we're providing a website with tools and resources for families in English and in Spanish. And we're saying, you know, whatever that reason is why your child has been missing school, let us help you, let us provide support, because the most important thing is that our kids are in class.
Yes, I agree with that. And we have joining us today, Mr. Gentry Richardson, the president of the 100 Blackmen of Las Vegas. Gentry, welcome to the show. Why has the 100 Blackmen chosen this particular subject to be something that we are heavily involved in and heavily concerned about?
Well, thanks. First of all, Kirsten, hi.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
You too.
First of all, it's our long-standing relationship with Public Education Foundation. We've done a lot of great things together, and we're a huge believer and supporter of each other and what we do. So when I mentioned to Kirsten that I was having meetings with CCSD and we started talking about absenteeism and the importance of it, it was a no-brainer as far as it was something that we absolutely need to partner with. I love the slogan you came up with for the effort, and it was just something that is important, because as we look at the statistics involving particularly Black youth, it's just frightening. It's those things that, you know, I say, when you get emotional about facts. Mm-hmm. And so the facts that we were talking about and that I looked at made it saying that we must get involved in this program, and we're stressing it even now with our Crossroads program. We're stressing the need to be at school, and we're driving the commitment that that absenteeism will not be one of the reasons that they do not move forward. So we're putting it in the forefront of what we're doing, and we're going to keep working together so that we can do something about this one.
But Kirsten, let's talk about some of the specific things that are being done about absenteeism. Let's talk a little bit about our approach. And you have an event that's coming up very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So the event on November 28th is our coalition, which we're calling the Southern Nevada Family Engagement Center, is going to kick off our website that will have all of these tools and resources for families, and hopefully educators will use it as well. And so the website is nvfamily.org. And our little slogan that Gentry referenced is, you have to go to grow. And it's just a really important message to talk to kids about in general. I'm sure your mentors are talking to students about how you have to show up, right? Even sometimes
Yes.
you don't want to, right? Got to show up for work, you got to show up for your family. And so that's a little bit of the conversation that we're having is about showing up, but also wrapping families in support so that they can. And so we're hoping, so all of, we're in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club and Family Promise and Boys Town and so many, communities and schools, so many organizations that are working with students and families every day. And so they're going to have the opportunity to use this website as a tool in those conversations with families. We're also working with TPOP, the truancy prevention program in Clark County, so that when they're doing home visits, when they're talking to families, can provide this website with resources to them. So, I'm not going to claim that a website's going to solve all of these problems, but it's a mechanism for when we're having these one-to-one conversations with families that we can bring up different resources and support.
That is wonderful. Now, there are some consequences. There are some consequences when kids do not show up for school. Mm-hmm. Which one of you all would like to handle what the school system, CCSD, is actually doing when kids don't show up?
Well, I can take that at first, at least. Yeah. I think it varies from school to school, and I think it varies based on the level too. Under Nevada law, and this is not a CCSD rule, if you miss more than 10% of your classes, you could be held back or miss credit on that class. Yes. And that's a state law. That's not a CCSD law. So schools are really working, there's also a Nevada law that when you have a certain number of absences, you receive a letter from your school saying your child has this many absences, they're in danger potentially of being retained. So the schools are doing their best to communicate about the law. I have to be honest, though, a big chunk of our website is just explaining what absenteeism is. It's confusing. It's confusing to me, the difference between an excused and an unexcused absence, when it's truancy, all of that. It gets really confusing for families, and I don't think that that's great when we're trying to work with them on solving some of these really deep issues. So the schools, I think, initially are doing the outreach to let families know when there's a problem. Oftentimes schools now are doing home visits. A lot of schools are actually hiring specialists to deal with the absenteeism issue. And that's kind of like the first level, right, of support before they go into the county system, where the truancy prevention program actually goes and knocks on their door and tells them a little bit more of what could be at stake.
Kirsten talked a little bit about the warmth and the love that we're trying to show kids and trying to encourage kids to be on time, to be there, to show up. Gentry, talk a little bit about that, how we are trying to do as Black men and as the 100 Black men, how we are trying to be encouraging as far as helping these kids show up and not be absent and not have to deal with the consequences of that.
Well, the first thing we're doing is we're establishing relationships with the parents and the guardians.
Yes.
And it's great to see that never for 1 minute try to generalize that the parents or the guardians do not care, because they do.
Yes.
And so when you communicate to them and let them know, hey, we're here to help. Not to parent your child, but to help you to be part of, and for us to be part of that village, right? That's been great. We've gotten great communications from the parents. Even and examples with our program, our Saturday Crossroads program, we've stressed the importance of communication. And when a youth can't make it, the parent will send us an email and say, I would like, I'm just letting you know, this is what's going on. He's got to work or whatever, because we tell them that there is excused absences we can deal with. No communication is what creates the problem. Mm-hmm. So that, and then secondly, so now you have the parents and you're building that relationship. Then we build a relationship with the youth and tell them that we had the parents sign a waiver giving us, saying we can have access to their grades and what's happening with them in regular, so as for us to be able to advocate for that child. So we have to sign off of the parent to ask about absenteeism and how they're doing in school and those kinds of things. And that's communicated to CCSD. So
Now,
then we tell the child, look, when you go to school, you're not just by yourself. You have your parents, your guardians, and you have us. So if you have any issues or situations where it could be you're afraid to go to school or something's happening where you're being bullied or there's a reason, you have an additional avenue of men that have access from the superintendent all the way down and from the police chief of CCSD all the way down that's there for you. And the reaction, and you look at their faces and the thumbs up they give, that's great, because now they know that there's that added help, guardian, somebody there for them. But at the same time, they know we have expectations that they make that commitment, and we call it carrying the baton, that they don't drop the baton. So we tell them that, we're saying the worst thing that can happen in a relay race is you drop the baton, and we tell them you are carrying the baton. So just like we're carrying the baton, we're passing it on to you. You need to be carrying that baton and do what you need to do for the community and for your family.
So you talked about our Crossroads program, ladies and gentlemen. That is our life skills program. Gentry, how about talking a little bit about the Crossroads program? Give them some contact information, because as our listeners have been hearing about this, some of them want to contact us. They want their kids to be a part of that. Tell them how they do that.
Well, now they would sign up for our next session, which will be in the spring. This session is absolutely full. We have over 30 young men in that program now, and we're having great attendance. We're in our third session, so we're kind of deep into this when it goes into February. So if you go to info at 100blackmen.org, 100blackmenlasvegas.org, you can ask for information there, or you can go to our website 100blackmenlasvegas.org and go into our programs, and you'll see Crossroads, and then you can apply for the spring session.
It is exciting for us to see that the community is working together on our community issues. Kirsten, talk a little bit about your experience of working with the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas.
Well, I mean, first of all, everything you're saying is just music to our ears I couldn't shake my head enough when you're talking about building relationships and communication, because that's really how we change hearts and minds and change our community, right? Is by communicating with each other and building relationships. And that's what you all really have done. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you have your ear to the ground about some of the big issues that are happening, and you're talking to anyone from the superintendent to us to other partners about what we can all do about it together. It's just it's how we get work done, right? It's how we change lives. We also are very fortunate. I mentioned our scholarships program. 100 Black Men of Las Vegas have had a scholarship with the Public Education Foundation for some time now, scholarship for students. And I would encourage, I always tell seniors and current college students, there's a scholarship for everyone. So I encourage everyone to go to our website, thepef.org, and see if that scholarship or another scholarship might be a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have that avenue, and we have avenue through. We also have avenue directly through 100 Black Men. I just got an email yesterday about some funding for the scholarships that will go into Public Education Foundation. So there's two places you can go, and both are excellent resources.
We want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, with all the things that are going on in our community, in our city, and around our nation, it is all hands on deck. Everybody needs to be involved. Everybody can do something. To the world, you might just be one person, but to one person, you just might be the world. It is all hands on deck. So, Gentry, what is the last word you would like to leave with our listening audience?
I My last word is thank you to partners like Public Education Foundation. We cannot do it alone, and we need partners like Public Education Foundation for us to really have an impact in the community, eliminate the silos, knock down the walls, and let's all work together. And that's how we'll make a difference.
Kirsten, what would you like to leave without listening audience?
Well, I want to second that, but I also just want to say, people come to me sometimes frustrated with education, especially in Clark County, and there are things that we can all do. All of us, to your point, Mel, every single one of us can do something. And to Gentry's point, if we're all kind of swimming in the same direction, if we have a shared vision, we can do anything together. So I appreciate both of you and the partnership of the 100 Black Men, and I look forward to more work together to improve our community for our kids.
We'd like to thank our guests today. You've been listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. What they see is what they'll be. I'm Mel Tiller, your host. And until next time, keep it 100.
Thank you. Thanks, Kirsten.
Thank you both. That was fun. I appreciate